again, everyone. Welcome to my second spin wheel challenge. I've finally found a space to record audio in and to act as a sort of studio for me to make videos which will hopefully up my productivity. Setting out time and actually doing what I say I'm gonna do can be difficult for me, especially if I'm just in my dorm or on my bed or just kind of at my desk because my phone is right next to me, or I'm like, well, I could just go to sleep and do it later. And so I think actually leaving my dorm and going to a place is much better than for me. Only issue is I have to reserve the room I'm in, and sometimes I can't do that, but I will try to, and like I said, hopefully it will make me produce more videos. Anyway, due to the fates rolling on magicians, today I'm going to be sharing some information about them and their society. Magicians live around 300 years, but they age similarly to humans, at least in their youth. I wanted all of the races to have different life expectancies, but didn't want the issues that arise with that when talking about development and adulthood and so on. So all of my races age like normal until they reach their 20s. So these characters, for instance, are in their 50s and 60s, but that is still considered a young adult in their society. Basically, the only thing that makes humans and magicians different from each other, besides life expectancy, is their magical capabilities. Humans cannot use magic. They cannot learn it either. The only way for them to gain power is by being bestowed with a divine weapon. Every magician is born with a specific amount of magic in their body, and that determines many things about their life. For example, whether they'll survive childhood. In one of my earlier episodes, I briefly mentioned something called magical overflow, and basically what that is when the body cannot function due to the amount of magic it has inside of it. Many magicians do not survive infancy or childhood, especially those with high levels. So magicians have to go to school and learn how to control their magic. This isn't in the sense that they'll go out of control and wreak havoc, because to do that you would have to know how to do that and do it intentionally. Magic isn't used unintentionally in my world because it's kind of like, I don't know, being really good at sports unintentionally. That's a talent, but you still have to know how to play. So basically it's more about them training their bodies to be able to coexist and live with the magic. So most magicians go through basic schooling just to learn how to handle themselves. There is higher education, however, it's mostly for magicians seeking to be mages or those who want to study magic in some way. They're a society with many different pieces, and not all of them revolve around the study of high magic. A lot of jobs they have are very humanesque. Another way magicians are different from humans, at least physically, is their pupils and facial markings. Magicians' pupils are something like stars or diamonds. Not for any particular reason, I just wanted a way to physically differentiate them from humans, and I think it looks cool. However, the color of them does matter. So the power scale for magician's ability is ranked in the following order: very low, low, average, high, very high, and insanely high. Don't quote me on that last one, I just haven't come up with a better word yet, and that's what I put on the wheel. I know it sounds cringy, bear with me, it'll change. Magicians with any level of after, very high, and above have black pupils, and anything below that is white. If they have a mix of black and white, they fall into that top category. Magicians also sometimes have black markings on their face, and as a rule of thumb throughout the Stasis series, if anyone has black markings on their face, it's a sign of magic. This includes magic from divine weapons, kind of like what Deva has, although it doesn't always appear on divine weapon users, like Marcella. The black markings only appear if a magician has at least a high power rating. Anything over that, they definitely have them. There are 7 clans in the magician's territory: the Air clan, the Aquair clan, the Planty clan, the Materia clan, the Vis clan, the Ignis clan, and the Faber clan. They all play crucial parts in the magician territory by being the biggest providers in their respective fields. The Air clan deals in transportation of people and goods by using levitation magic. The Aquair clan are responsible for sea-based trade and fishing using water magic. The Planty clan handles the biggest crop and timber farms using plant magic. The Ignis clan are smaller and mostly hired for small odd jobs that involve flames. For example, if a fire breaks out, they work in tandem with the Aquair's clan to minimize damage. The Vis clan handle conflicts through force and oversee the territory's protection. They are highly selective about who works for them due to the dangerous nature of the magic they specialize in. The Materia clan are another small clan, but the most powerful and influential. They deal with matter magic and anything that bends it, such as teleportation and pocket spaces. Anyone wanting to use their services must have a lot of money. The smallest and most socially outcasted clan is the Faber clan. They deal with the production of magic tools. Magic tools don't tend to be used by magicians, they're specifically made for other races like humans. Due to this, the clan is seen as a disgrace. They have very few serfs, and most people avoid them like the plague. Their tools are expensive and usually shipped out to human leaders and nobles. The magic contained in the tools has a wide range of capabilities, such as teleportation, as seen in episode 11 of the Stasis Series. The clans are not a part of the government technically, and are more similar to corporations, but they have a large amount of control over the territory as a whole, due to the services they provide. The territory itself is a republic led by a 3-chair council of the most powerful magicians. There is Chair Pathos, Chair Logos, and Chair Ethos. The 3 individuals basically oversee all of the people in the territory and deal with other races. The only requirement to be voted into a chair, besides there being an open one available, is graduating from the territory's top school, Domus Arcana. DA is where great mages come from, and it is where Donovan graduated from. It is also where the 2 magicians studying under Donovan from episode 14 are currently enrolled. It is known as the nexus of all magical study and progress in the magical arts. Magicians get along best with humans, and many human kingdoms enlist the help of mages for their military or councils and such. In return, magicians basically gain access to numbers. There are roughly 6 million magicians, which make up 12% of the global population. This is much lower than humans' 17.5 million, roughly 35% of the population. Humans and magicians have been allied for thousands of years, all due to a war that ravaged the world 5,000 years ago, where the elves and magicians were the top powers. But I don't want to spoil too much about that yet, plus I haven't exactly come up with all of the details, but to put it bluntly, the war is the reason that magicians and elves despise each other today, which can probably be noticed in episode 6 when Donovan gives a brief rundown on all of the races. I'd advise people to keep in mind what race a character is when they're speaking about a different race, just because they might not exactly be the most reliable narrator at that point in time. The last thing I want to go over before introducing these new characters and telling their story is what the militas is, because one of the characters is a milita. They are very similar to knights or samurai and are basically soldiers for hire. They are overseen by the Vis clan, but don't directly report to them necessarily. Sometimes the council hires a whole army of them, or just a couple hundred, to act as guards for buildings or police in towns. They can also just be hired solo as bodyguards for expeditions and such. First we have Sorden, a milita. They are a soldier for hire and have been trained in defensive magic as well as magic that aids them with physical combat. She's a very strong-willed, and what he lacks in magical flow they make for in brute strength and technique. Then we have Nozama as seen on the left and Kabi as seen on the right. They both grew up in the same town and have been friends since they were very young. When they grew up, they decided to work for the Air clan as transporters. They do deliveries of items, information, and people. They can also be hired out to assist people on longer expeditions. The two often compete with each other on who can complete their quota for the day first, and then the other has to buy the drinks at the end of that night. Finally, we have Thelian. He is a very single-minded individual, and he wants to have a magical study that results in his prestige despite not having a clan name. So he worked very hard to become a mage, but oftentimes he doesn't get the results he wants, but he still refuses to give up. The group met one day when Thelian needed to travel to the Forbidden Forest to gather some rare materials for his experiments. So he hired a Milita and 2 air serfs to aid him. These people happened to be Sorda and Kabi and Nozama. The trip itself took nearly 2 weeks there and back, and many things went wrong during it, such as getting lost a lot. But through their journey, they all grew to be good friends, and they still recollect with each other and go out drinking to this day. Thank you all so much for watching. The next thing that comes out for me will be the next episode of the Stasis series, so look forward to it.